Morning, guys, and today we have England versus Sri Lanka, the last match of Group 1, which is our beloved Group 1, the group of death. And finally, after the end of all the matches, we have New Zealand, who is already the first official team. Like always, how they do it, I don't know, but New Zealand is now qualified for the semi-finals of the World Cup, and it's either going to be England or Australia. So England just needs to win today against Sri Lanka, and the fact is Sri Lanka has not beaten England in quite a few time. In fact, they've lost the last 70-20s that Sri Lanka has played with England, and the last time that they beat England was in 2014 actually. And when it comes to World Cup contests, it was 2012 in Palekele when they last beat England. And England is looking very strong. No doubt they have a very good team in this World Cup. They suffered because of rain. They lost to Ireland, I guess. Even that match they should have easily had in their bag. And Josh Butler made a century last time England and Sri Lanka met in the World Cup in 2021. It was Josh Butler making 100. Vanindu Hasaranga is again the top wicket taker of the tournament, just like he was last year, and that could be a unique record that he could make, being the top wicket taker of the tournament for two consecutive World Cups. But he's probably the only threat to England today. Otherwise, England, the match is at Sydney, and England's batting is good and deep, and they have a lot of bowling all rounders who can also chip in the death. Sam Curran is having an excellent phase in the death overs. He has taken, I think, 10 wickets, 9 wickets in this tournament, and England have picked more than 3 or 4 wickets in the death, and that's been one of the highlights for England, why they have been so dominant. So this match at Sydney, England will trust that um, they can uh, bash the fast bowlers. Most of the fast bowlers of Sri Lanka who were supposed to play are injured, and we are only left with the reserves and someone like Pramod Madushan and Lahiru Kumara. There is no Chamira, there is no Madhushanka who were going to play initially. But I do feel that Sri Lanka need to back their all-rounder, the Botham of Sri Lanka, Chamika Karunaratne. I do feel he's an important player for Sri Lanka, and he should be used. So Chamika Karunaratne, the Botham of Sri Lanka, I feel is very important. Um, he can contribute with the bat at the death, and Sri Lanka, which has a not so reliable batting lineup, will definitely need him. Also, some of the main players like Pathum Nissanka, Kusal Mendes, they need to give Sri Lanka a good start. They need to give them a good start here, and that will be difficult against the fastest bowler of this World Cup, Mark Wood, who's bowling 150 plus consistently and has already picked up 8 wickets in this tournament. So I think Mark Wood is going to be a big threat at the top, and Sam Curran, the big threat at the death. But in the middle, I think they can attack the spin of Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali. And I think if Pathum Nissanka is able to survive, I think Sri Lanka should just try to survive the power play here, and probably bat first, survive the power play. And if they survive the power play, then it will be up to Dhananjay De Silva, Bhanuka Rajpaksha, Charit Asalanka. These three batsmen, they can attack. And even Dhananjay is very good in the power play. His batting is very calm and composed in the power play. So I think it will be up to Charit and Bhanuka to give uh, to attack Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali if needed. And Dasun Shanaka, who has not contributed with the bat till now, has to play a big role. Sri Lanka has done well after losing to Namibia in the first game. They came back, they topped their qualifier group, and they have done well except for that New Zealand loss, I think, which would be hurting them a lot. Even the Australia lost because they were in winning positions at some time in both the games. Yeah, against New Zealand, they made New Zealand lose 3 wickets in the power play, and they were 20. New Zealand were 25 for 3 in the power play. From there, they dropped Glenn Phillips twice. So the fielding is another thing that Sri Lanka needs to improve. And against Australia, they did the same thing. Like once it looked like it will be very tough because Finch was not able to connect anything, and wickets were falling at the other end, and they needed 79 of for 50, something like that, when Marcus Stoinis came and played a blinder. And even that match, I feel the match at Perth, that could have been Sri Lanka's, because Charita Salanka played a brilliant knock in that match. Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky match for England, and the whole Australian team will be rooting for an upset, because we ideally want a home team to be in the semis. It makes more fun. It makes the event lively. Normally, we want the home team to be there, but it's between England, which is one of the best white ball teams ever, best T20 teams ever, and Australia. So England is such a good team that they beat Pakistan at in Pakistan. They beat Australia in Australia before this World Cup. So they started probably as a pre-tournament favorites, and to take down pre-tournament favorite will be very difficult here for Sri Lanka. They will need some magic from the genius of Vanindu Hasaranga. That is the only X factor, and Mahesh Theekshana. These are the only two X factors that Sri Lanka have. Otherwise, England run over Sri Lanka in every department. But Sri Lanka is known to cause some upsets, but there is very less motivation for Sri Lanka, who have been already eliminated of the tournament. We saw what happened in Asia Cup. Sri Lanka upset India, they upset Pakistan in the finals, and what a game they played in the finals after being 58 for 5. Bhanuka Rajpaksha and Dashun Shanaka. Can they do something similar? Can their batsmen stand up to the fire of Mark Wood? Can Vanindu produce some magic and derail England's batting lineup? Will Chamika Karunaratne or the gas man Lahiru Kumara get some assistance at Sydney? Lahiru Kumara, he's been really inconsistent, and he has been out of the Sri Lankan squad team for some time now, and he has come back because of the injuries. So he and Kasun Rajita, uh, they will be shoring up the pace bowling attack. So let us hope for an interesting match. But I certainly feel like England will win this match, and I would really want to put my money on Sri Lanka to cause an upset, and the odds are big for them. But let's see if that can happen. Then Australia will be really sending a lot of gifts and thank yous to Sri Lanka. And Australia, Sri Lanka, they have had a very lovely relationship lately. When Australia taught Sri Lanka in tough times, and Sri Lankan crowd also thanked Australia. Thank you, Australia, for coming and all. So whether that relationship is going to blossom even more, and we'll have to see that. Uh, Also, I think Glenn Maxwell, yesterday's match, Glenn Maxwell played a phenomenal knock. I think even Australia would not have reached 168, but not for him. And bowling was pretty bad. They needed to restrict Afghanistan to 106, but they missed Mitchell Stark, who was dropped for very weird reasons that I'm still not able to understand why Mitchell Stark, such a key bowler who could have taken early wickets with his pace, swing. I mean, why was he the one to get the axe? And Kane Richardson played as a death bowler. This match, you should not have a death bowler for such kind of matches. And he went for 48 in 4 overs. It was totally illogical. And Daniel Vittori's the assistant coach logic was even more illogical to drop Stark. And that probably cost Australia a playoff spot, because with Stark, I feel they could have yesterday, when they had Afghanistan for 103 for 6, they could have actually blown the tail away with Rashid and all. They would have blown them, but in fact, it was Rashid who counter attacked, and he took them almost near to the finish line, losing by just 4 wickets. And the Australian batsmen also, I feel, they play a lot of switch hits. And again, after Maxwell's innings against New Zealand, Maxwell has been doing it very consistently, playing the switch hit. But yesterday, Warner, when it was not at all required, he had got a very good start. and then he threw his wicket away. Naveen ul Haq bowled exceptionally well. It was a stunning performance from Naveen ul Haq, who neutralized Australian top order as well as the death batting of Australia with Maxwell and Stoinis was very good. And Stoinis also played a very poor shot. He could have just waited 1 over of Rashid Khan, and then he would have had 4 overs of pace only. But he decided to take on Rashid Khan when only 3 balls were left in his spell. And New Zealand obviously going through Joshua Little writing his name into history books with a hat trick, but it's the value of that hat trick is almost neutralized. By the time he took the hat trick, New Zealand were already in a position of 175, and I don't think Ireland could have chased against a bowling attack like New Zealand, which had bowled Southey and Ferguson and Sodhi and Santner, who have been bowling really well to the conditions. And I feel it was a good knock from Kane Williamson, finally coming good in this tournament. And 61 in 35 balls was really awesome stroke play. Even the slogs of uh, Kane Williamson are so well timed. He looks a really watchable player. And credit to New Zealand. No one actually gave them the due favorite tag of this group. They are always dark horse no matter where. I mean, they have presented their image. I think they underperform in bilaterals just to preserve this image of them being underdogs. And they always, when it comes to big tournaments, you always see New Zealand qualifying somehow for the knockouts, and they are the first team to qualify. And it's probably going to be South Africa who's going to take on them. That is assuming India wins their game against Zimbabwe. And India and Zimbabwe, it's not going to be an easy match. It's at Melbourne, and there has been no matches in Melbourne since a long time. So we'll do a separate preview for that. But for now, that's all from my end. Terrific performance from Naveen ul Haq. I mean, the way he bowled the last over. And I think it was 1 over from Pat Cummins that actually helped Australia win the match yesterday, because the 12th over that he bowled, he considered only 2 runs, and it was Ibrahim Zadran who was not able to touch any of the balls from Pat Cummins, is not able to rotate the strike. And the following over of Zampa, there was 1 run out, 2 wickets, and Najibullah Zadran, the most reliable Afghan middle order player, also hitting out at the Adelaide straight boundary. Very immature, because this is not your Sharjah. You can hit straight to Adam Zampa, and it would have cleared the fence in Sharjah probably, but not in no chance in Adelaide. And Nabi too. I think Nabi and Najib were very disappointing, and Rashid would be very disappointed with Nabi and Najibullah Zadran. And because if they had even played, uh, it would if they had made a partnership of even 15 to 20 runs, I think the victory would have been Afghanistan's, and they would have gotten historic victory in the World Cup, even though it means non-qualification. And Sri Lanka, in turn, would have had a chance today, and a big motivation to defeat England, which is absent now. So that's the story of World Cup. But before that, New Zealand had already pushed everyone to the limit by qualifying, and Ireland, I think, were the most consistent lower ranked team of this World Cup. They've had a very good World Cup also. So that's it from my end, guys. Thank you for watching. Keep tuning in to Cricket Caviar. Keep following and subscribing us for more cricket videos, and we'll be coming to you with more cricket action. Thank you, guys.